Hey, this is Milz from America. We're back with another interview. I think this is interview number 28 of the past 3 to 4 weeks. It's always better to be busy than to be bored. And so we're going to keep this moving along in the spirit of education, inspiration, and motivation. So without further ado, today we are interviewing.
Space.
Yeah, where are you from, girl?
I am from the United States, Mississippi originally. I currently live in New Orleans.
All right. Nolans. Nala. Nolans.
That's where I ended up at.
Okay. First question: the meaning behind your stage name, and I think you also have a. I think you also might have a separate producer name. So if you want to kind of give us the,
I do.
yes, if you want to give us the full spiel.
So the stage name Space, to me, it represents the endlessness of things you can create with beatboxing, such as how the universe or things in space are endless. I find that with beatboxing, there's an unlimited amount of sound combinations, new sounds being created all the time. New ways you can create routines for battles or new songs that you can make. And I don't see an end to what beatboxing is capable of. So to me, the name Space represents that. As far as my producer name, Jadeations would be the combination of my middle name, Jade, and the word ideations, due to my producer name representing to me my thoughts and ideas being put out into the world through music.
Great, 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 great. Okay. Now, can you take us straight into a non-beatbox background about yourself? This can be musical influences. This can be identity that got you, or just kind of eventually led you to beatbox. So like not to be confused with the question after this, which is your solo beatbox background. Just kind of like a non beatbox background for right now.
Um, I would say my non-beatbox background is what happened to lead me eventually to my beatboxing background, but I would say I first fell in love with just music in general when I was about 10 years old. My dad showed me metal for the first time. He introduced me to my favorite band, Avenged Sevenfold, and he introduced me to Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera, things like that. And at first, honestly, I was scared of it because I'm like, what is this? What is this loud, angry music? But eventually, I just almost immediately, I would say I fell in love with it and wanted that to be what I did for the rest of my life, which eventually did change. But it was quite a while later. I ended up going to a concert with my dad for the first time and caught a guitar pick from the guitarist that was playing. He ended up, oh God, yeah, he ended up throwing me to one to me and to my dad. And I got home, had a guitar I got for Christmas one year, never touched it in my life. I said, hey, let's just use this thing and mess around for a little bit. I figured if I'm going to do this and waste this time, I might as well try to learn something. My general assumption is that it was going to be awful. I thought, there's no way that I'm going to get this to sound like what's on my phone playing right now. And after about an hour, it did. That was the thing that surprised me, is that when I started playing guitar, I immediately picked up on it. And it was kind of a gift, that was something I fell in love with, and it only drove me further to want to pursue music. I had already been beatboxing at the time, and that's really when I started to take my beatboxing seriously, was when I got super in guitar and things like that. A few years later now, I've started producing and just doing things with music that I enjoy. So I would say that's pretty much my background. I don't know, I'm a girl that loves music.
Great. So if you want to kind of segue that perfectly into more of your solo beatbox background.
Yeah, so that led me on to things like trying to play guitar for people online and stuff like that, which is eventually where I started running into a few beatboxers and stuff and started taking more of an interest in that. And then in 2017, I was introduced to Discord, and then led to the beatboxing community. That's how I found it initially, was just going around online, trying to play guitar for people, slowly developing that interest for beatboxing. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't know people could make these sounds. And I just kind of became hooked on that in 2017. And since then, I've been participating in a lot of events online and things. And 2019 was a really big year for me. I kind of left everything behind to go up to New York and start pursuing beatboxing and stuff. I took a backpack with like 5 packs of cigarettes and a hammock in it and just went up to New York to have the time of my life. And did the Long Island Beatbox Battle, the first one they held. I became one of the top 8 beatboxers in Long Island. Got to meet a lot of my idols and stuff in the community, and just overall got to really see what the real beatbox community was like, rather than everything I'd seen online up to that point.
Yeah. So online versus in real life. I was gonna ask that later, but if you want to kind of go straight into that right now, or and like maybe kind of tie into in light what's been going on in the community recently.
Yeah, I would definitely say, from my personal standpoint, that the online community does not. I wouldn't say in no way does it reflect the real life community, but in a lot of ways it does not reflect the in person community that is the beatbox family. I've been online for a lot longer than I have been in person, and it only took me the few experiences of in person beatbox events that I had to know these are not the same things. The online community needs to be fixed is the best way I can say it.
Do you want to, without I guess trying to stay somewhat positive, do you want to give some examples and like some solutions, or do you just want to kind of leave it at that?
Um, I would say a lot of example would. God, I'm at a loss for words here. I'm like really bad at talking.
It's okay.
I would say the best example would have to be um, just the overall level of immaturity online and how that's not being taken nearly as seriously as it could. It's like the people will say things jokingly like, oh, that's gay, and things like that, or transphobic remarks or sexist remarks, even racist remarks. And moderators on Discord or in other group chats, I will notice will be like, oh, slap on the wrist, maybe an hour mute. We'll deal with that later. It's just not taken nearly as seriously, in my opinion, as it needs to be. And for a lot of that reason, a lot of beatboxers in the community are facing discrimination. And I think that there are ways that could be fixed with implementing new solutions on how to deal with the remarks and such, how to deal with the beatboxers who are saying these remarks, and education would be probably the best way to go about it. And then from there, just enforcing the things that you implement, not letting up on it because, oh, we've done it for a week. It seems to have slowed down. But the moment you stop focusing on it, it's going to rise again. So I think people just need to start taking it more seriously, start taking action and sticking with the actions they take.
Right. So it's like when you talk about solutions and mods being okay but not good enough. Do you think that with the recent posts on the big organizers, so like a Jester and I talked about this a lot, when he and Eunice too, so like with BBXC, I think BBXR, Swiss Beatbox, even like Indo Beatbox, all these other things. Do you think that it's at least a good start that they're at least saying, okay, step one, this is a problem. Step two, we need to do more action. Do you think that kind of like the top down will eventually work? Or do you think kind of what the example you were giving, that it's like, oh, it's just 1 week thing and then we stop? Do you think it'll stop, or do you think things will slowly get better?
Well, I've already noticed on Instagram a few of the different beatbox organizations have already started that, where it was like, hey, here's one post about this major problem, and then back to their content as if nothing ever happened, and not posting about it again. I've noticed that, within the past few days is what's kind of happened. Swiss Beatbox did too. I do believe I saw one from Beatbox Community, one from Beatbox International, and a few others. I feel like it needs to be more than, hey, here's a post on Instagram. We don't tolerate this. We're going to think of new ways to fix it. I want to see the new ways they fix it. I want to see more of these posts, more awareness being brought to it than what has been.
I think it was Beatbox International that actually outlined like was that or or BBXC, one or both of them, that actually had like 5 specific action plans.
Yeah, I believe that was BBX. I believe that was BBXC.
Okay. All right.
I would say Beatbox International. I believe it was an Instagram post with seven slides on it. I'd say theirs was one of the more detailed ones on the issues at hand.
Okay. Another follow-up question. So I noticed that there seems to be way more um, male identifying in the community more than female, and even just non binary. And so, do you think that even though there's different ways of processing things and different ways of sense of humor, do you think that it's kind of like an being outnumbered, and then having the voices still heard, but that not kind of result? Like, do you think even though like the differences, do you feel, first of all, I'm sure you feel outnumbered, not just individually, but you feel outnumbered, I guess. Yes.
I would say that's correct.
Okay. How do you think that, like, you, and I'm not putting everybody in a basket, like you, Sparks, some other people, do you think that even though, oh, okay, so let's say Sparks' 10-minute thing. Oh, and Bellatrix did her own little 10-minute thing too. Do you think that those posts will still resonate with all the self-identifying males? I mean, long term. I mean, not short term, because like we've already seen short term, but I'm talking like long term.
um, it's hard to say, honestly. It's hard to, because that really is an open-ended question. Saying males in general, there's a lot of different type of people as far as views and things go in the in the beatboxing community, especially online. So I would say for quite a few, it will resonate long term, but there, I would say also that there is a large amount that it will not even phase, and a lot of the problems will still occur. So I don't know. It's just a hard thing to say without seeing long term first. You know, saying is this going to resonate? It's very difficult thing to do in my opinion.
Okay. Kind of talking about identity. Do you want to talk? You want to talk about, if you feel comfortable? Um, which, by the way, I think you're doing a really good job of talking. You said that like you were a little afraid. I think you're doing a really good job, to be honest. Um, so my next question was gonna be, um, if you're comfortable, if you want to talk about your identity and what, if things have come to light, kind of sharing it with the community, both like kind of local and even international.
Yes, so I identify as a transgender woman. That is someone who is biologically male, not feeling like they're in the correct body, is the way that I see it. I'm not in the body that reflects who I am as a person and how I feel as a woman. And I'm in the process of transitioning so I can be that complete woman that I envision myself as. What was the rest of the question?
Oh yeah, well, like the rest of the question, I guess, was kind of how, like, fitting in, or trying to be yourself in a community that seems to that may claim that they don't have as much in common with you.
It's difficult to say the least. Feeling like I'm one in maybe a handful, and I don't believe I've met another beatboxer that is out openly as transgender and um, says in public, "Hi, I'm transgender. I'm a beatboxer." Not to say that there's not another one, but I personally have not met one. In my beatboxing experience, I would say that not just transgender people, but LGBT people in general are completely outnumbered in the community, and there's not really a whole lot of light being shed on them. I did a thing myself where I searched on YouTube LGBT beatbox, and nothing came up but just the plain beatbox videos. It was the same thing on Instagram, the same thing on Google, and I'm sure on a multitude of other social media sites that you can search and not be able to find people that are openly LGBT beatboxers. And there's not really an organized community for that. And that's something I was trying to start. I've started an Instagram page for that to try to bring people together and help people have the confidence to be like, hey, we're LGBT, we're beatboxers, we're here. So that entire page is dedicated to sharing LGBT beatboxers and their stories and their beatboxing.
Beautiful. That's great. Um, lot of leadership today. But both you and my other interviewee, great. I had a question. It was a follow up to that. Oh man, forgot. If I think of it, I'll ask you later.
Alrighty.
So kind of going back to um oh, I remember what I was going to say. So historically, in with since beatbox is the fifth element of hip hop, and hip hop since back then seems to not really favor certain identities. I'm wondering um if the jokes, and not just necessarily immaturity, but even just ignorance and miseducation. I wonder if any of that will kind of get better long term.
That's another thing I would say is hard to say without seeing it. It's definitely moving in the right direction, you know. I just think we're at the beginning of a lot of change right now with all of the stories coming out, people speaking up and having the courage to not stand not stand for the bullshit anymore. Is the only way I could put it. You know, I think things are starting to change.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So now let's kind of go back to the performance aspect of beatbox. Is Do you have a solo beatbox style, or are you just kind of, or like you just do actually a lot of things?
I would say it's just really heavy dubsteppy stuff, whatever I feel like doing, you know. Um, I wouldn't say that it's particularly my own style or a culmination of anyone else's style. It's to me, it's just my beatboxing, and I do it how I feel I can do it best. I do want to branch out more and start taking beatboxing seriously again, as I used to. Start learning new sounds and things to expand what I am capable of as a human. But currently, I would say I do not fully have my own style.
Okay. Oh, I just thought of another follow up question that wasn't on my list. So this is good. This is a really good dialogue we're having here. Um, when my question is, when someone says, and I'll just use Sparks, or no, actually I'll use a different example. Uh, Pechinkanta. Let's use her. When she is crowned, when a female is crowned the world champion, and they say that they are the world champion, do you think that it should that title should be, or do you think it should be, or do you think categories should merge? So I'm saying compared to like Alexinho or Dilo, they say that they're the world champion. Now I know that at the end of the day, like there's the whole battle mentality. So I don't know how important it is, but I guess just for like title's sake, what do you think about that?
Um, I genuinely don't believe that it should be segregated at this point. Uh, in in beatboxing, it just feels like women are being treated as, hey, you're less than the men, so you have a fair battle. We'll put you in this category by yourself. That's what it feels like to me, and I don't see that as right. I feel like there's plenty of beatboxers in the world that are capable of battling alongside men and beating men in the world championships if it were merged into one solo category.
Okay, so therefore, do you agree or disagree with the Swiss's new idea of having a female seven to smoke?
That one's really controversial, I would say, because for the reasons they're stating, they're doing it to promote female beatboxers. It does seem like a good thing, but again, it just feels to me like let's put these women off by themselves so they have a fair chance and they can battle and be taken seriously. You know, it just doesn't feel like if they want to promote us and make take us seriously, I just feel like we should be able to battle alongside the men and battle as beatboxers and not battle as women. And that's how I feel that they see it, is that we're battling as women, not beatboxers.
Right. I agree that like just more segregation. Like, well, and like, what do you say? Like, if someone says, "Well, a female can't go lower, and they can't do, and therefore, if it's not bassy, it's not good enough," because
That's a
right. Go ahead.
I would say that opinion is both sexist and irrelevant to anything to do with beatboxing. If beatboxing was judged on bass, we wouldn't need judges. It would just be people that like bass sitting in chairs, like, oh, this bass is better. That argument I would say is completely invalid in the subject of whether or not women are better than men. I don't think beatboxing is a biological thing. It's about dedication, passion, and the time you put into it. That's what separates people as far as skill level. It has nothing to do with biology. That's my stance on it.
Okie dokie. All right. Okay, moving right along here. How is your beatbox now? Such as like, I know you just said that you're kind of that you've been taking a brief break from it, that you want to get back to it. Um, so I can tailor this question a little bit. So instead of beatbox in the present, maybe beatbox in the future. Like, are there other, for example, wild cards, any projects, any tag teams, collaboration at all for you?
I do have plans to implement my beatboxing into my music producing, and I do want to make wild cards for female world beatbox champs in the future, while they are still a thing. That's something I've told often that I should not be allowed to do due to being trans, but I don't care. I still know who I am as a woman, and that's one of the wild cards that I am determined to submit and be taken seriously. I would like to try for GPP down the road. I would like to try for, there's a lot of things, honestly. American Champs is definitely a big one that I want to go for. But as of currently, no, the only real plans I have are to just start making routines and learning new sounds because I'm like, I would say super behind everybody else. I'm still stuck in 2017 when I started.
Great. Yeah. By the way, that was awesome that you got to meet and actually beatbox for like most of the beatbox house back then.
That was definitely an experience,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's Napalm helping me out, praising me this, giving me constructive criticism for that. Okay.
Yeah, I remember one time in particular, it was the first beatbox event I went to. It was the beatbox house party the first day I was in New York. And it was, they were doing draft tag team battles. So the first person that got pulled out of the hat was Napalm, and the second person was Ghost, and that was a team. And then it was me and D Nice. And it was scary.
Nice.
Yeah. We lost. I would say the crowd disagreed, and we ended up going all the way to the finals and becoming vice champs.
Wow! Congratulations.
But
I mean, belated,
but yeah, that was a fun experience. It was like I was just walking down the street and like, is this the right place? And I walk in and there's Napalm. I'm like, hey, are you Napalm? It's like, yeah, what's up? So that was just kind of how I met the beatbox community and started onto that journey.
No, I'm actually a Dr. Napes from Pennsylvania.
Jeez, Mills.
Hey, that's what he said in the in the first episode of the We Speak Music by Reeves. Pennsylvania. Hey, I mean, like when he used to loop, I thought his stage name was strictly Dr. Napes and not Napalm. Just like how like you can't say D-Lo the looper, it's DJ Low. Anyway, anyway, anyway. Jeez. Anyway. Okay. Okay, so I think you answered most of the next question was your experience in online and in real life USA community. So I think we're going to skip that unless you have anything else to say about the national level.
Not particularly, no.
Okay. All right. And then the next question you actually answered 20 minutes back, so we're going to skip that one. You just mentioned tags, some tag experience. Would you like, so let me tailor this next one is, would you like to try tag and maybe even some crew again? And then also kind of, I think you said you used to have a loop station. So I guess would those kind of three things maybe be realistic in your future? Like tag crews and or some loops?
I was saying that cruise, not so much. It's not something I've ever really been particularly interested in as being part of a beatbox crew. I feel like I would prefer something, more like a tag team, something where it's just one on one, two people putting ideas together. It's nothing against crews or anything. It just doesn't seem like my personal preference to be involved with something that big of a project. Having to create something like 5 minutes long and be able to perform it like that. It just seems a bit overwhelming to me to be part of a crew. Like I have so much respect for the people in the crews for that, to create that much material and go on stage with it. It's all inspiring to me.
Yeah, I think that
Um,
that GBB 2020, which I don't know realistically if it's gonna be in December even. With all the
GBB 2021.
no 2020 in real life.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. GBB 2021
Oh,
is what it's going to be.
well, where I was going with that was there's so many new categories. You have the loop tags, which hopefully all the chords work for that. You have the crews, and so my ultimate point I was gonna make was that I feel like it might have to turn into like a week long convention type deal, because
Oh, yeah.
there's no way with all these. I mean, you have all these extra people that you have to herd in and out of Progressia. I think one of my Polish friends said that they might have to move it back to Stodola. Right, I think like Stodola only took like 6,000 people, but I think Progressia takes up to 11,000. So I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Next question before the drop a beat and shoutouts is: Have you um have you done some teaching? So whether it's just like group beatbox lessons that Bart started doing, some like private lessons, maybe going around to schools and doing like, and when I say schools, I mean whether it's K through 12 or even university, like doing workshops.
No, I haven't. I haven't had the opportunity yet. It is something I would like to do, but I still feel like I have a lot to learn myself as a beatboxer before I'm ready to teach other people.
Because I think that you're definitely good enough based on. I mean, I've heard you like with all your sound clips that you'd send me in DMs. Like, if let's say I saw some video and I didn't know what an inward K was. I mean, I would easily hire you.
Yeah, I can barely do an inward K. That's one of the things I really need to work on is my basics.
Oh, I thought that was like your main snare.
PF snare.
Oh, okay. Yeah, PF. There you go. Okay, so we're on our last two segments. I ask everybody if you're up for it, and you can switch up the order. Drop a beat if you want, and any final shoutouts.
I just want to give a shout out to all the women right now in the community fighting against the injustices that they're facing. I want to give a shout out to an Instagram page called Beatboxers Against Hate. That's at Beatboxers Against Hate, all one word. It's what the name implies. It's a coalition of beatboxers coming together to fight against hate. I would like to also shout out my page LGBT Beatbox. It's at LGBT Beatbox. It's an organization dedicated to spotlighting, empowering, and uplifting LGBT beatboxers in the community. And I'd just like to give a shout out to everyone that's supporting me and my organization and all these women fighting right now. So thank you to everyone. Much love. And I guess I can do some freestyle stuff because I have no routine still, huh? Yeah, so there you go.
Jeez. Yep. A in chat. A for Athena in chat. It's good. Good.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, one last time. I am Mills from America, and we just got done interviewing
Space.
Anticlimactic.
I'm just gonna start introducing myself like that. Just be like, hi, I'm space.